Hey, welcome to Brattleboro's Town Matters podcast. This podcast is meant to be a brief update on what's happening in Brattleboro town government. I'm your host, Town Manager John Potter, broadcasting from the BCTV studios in Brattleboro, Vermont. Today, we're going to look back at what happened at the February 18th Brattleboro Select Board meeting, and then we'll do a review of the agenda for the upcoming special meetings on Monday, March 3rd and Thursday, March 6th. So the board met on Tuesday, February 18th, and this is what happened. On the consent agenda, there were 5 items. A property assessment agreement, which was accepted for Witcher Properties, also known as Walgreens. Then the second item, the board approved the assessor's certificate of no appeal on the 2024 grand list. They approved an annual contract renewal with the town attorney. They approved a $12,000 purchase in connection with the DPW bucket truck. And they authorized a $74,000 contract for design and construction services at the Brooks Memorial Library. All 5 of those consent items were passed in a motion by a vote of 5-0. Under regular business, the board first had an update on the Bridge 54 project. This is the bridge on Route 9 just west of the Interstate 91 interchange. And Gary LaRoche from VTrans and Tiffany Card from Green International gave the board a presentation about the location of the project, the conditions of the bridge. They discussed the various alternatives, the technology to be used in the construction, traffic financing, and the schedule. They were asking for a temporary bridge, which was included in the recommendation to reduce disruption to traffic and to reduce the project timeframe. This is the item that the board discussed last April, in April 2024, and the cost was considerably escalated from when they had looked at it previously at that time. They asked VTrans to go back and come up with some options, and the option presented at the meeting on the 18th significantly reduced the cost to the town. And before making a decision on whether to proceed with signing a maintenance and financing agreement with VTrans, the board asked to have a little more analysis on how the town would be obligated and the risks and costs in the future on this project. And they expect to take this up again at their March 6th meeting to hopefully make a decision before the VTrans requested date of April 1st. The next item of business on February 18th was a discussion of the fiscal year 24 audit findings. And the findings in the audit were primarily procedural issues. There were no material weaknesses in the regular annual audit or indications of fraud, financial instability, or major financial misstatements. The town has looked at the findings and is making some changes and adopting enhanced year-end procedures, a pre-audit checklist, and a clearer communication protocol with the auditor to help in future audits. The third item on the 18th was authorization of $200,000 from the Global Warming Solutions Fund for a project at Brooks Memorial Library. This is a renewable generation project to place solar panels on the new roof at the library. Sustainability Coordinator Stephen Dotson gave a presentation and answered questions about this project. And then the board moved to approve the town of Brattleboro committing $200,000 of the Global Warming Solutions Fund to pay for a rooftop solar project at Brooks Memorial Library, and that motion passed by a vote of 5-0. The next item on the 18th was information about a homestead property tax rebate information campaign, and Communications Coordinator Seth Thomas and Town Assessor Jennifer Brunell entered the meeting to discuss a memo and a video related to the homestead property tax rebate. They played the video, answered questions from the board, and no motion was taken on this. The video is available on the town website. And the final item on the February 18th meeting was a visit from Bill Holliday of the Brattleboro Historical Society to request the placement of historic signs on town properties. And the board discussed this with Mr. Holliday and then moved to approve the Brattleboro Historical Society's request to place historic signs at various town-owned historical sites around town and passed that motion by a vote of 5-0. The next Select Board meeting is a special meeting scheduled for Monday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. in Hinsdale at 11 Main Street at the Town Hall. And the other upcoming meeting is also a special meeting on Thursday, March 6th at 6:15 p.m. in the Select Board meeting room at 230 Main Street. And this is what will be on the agendas for these meetings. The meeting on Monday, March 3rd in Hinsdale is a special meeting to have a joint meeting with the Hinsdale Select Board and the New Hampshire Department of Transportation about Hinsdale Island and the Anna Marsh and Charles Hunt bridges that go to that island. And there'll be a discussion about the interests of both towns in a project that the New Hampshire Department of Transportation is doing to renovate the two bridges. Again, this is a special meeting. It will be at 11 Main Street in Hinsdale, and it will start at 6 p.m. The other upcoming meeting is also a special meeting. The board decided not to hold their regular meeting, which is on Election Day, March 4th, and instead postpone the meeting out to March 6th, and that will begin at 6:15 p.m. at 230 Main Street. There are 6 items on the consent agenda for that meeting. Consideration of accepting an EMS community outreach grant, considering acceptance of a cemetery maintenance contract to be awarded. Also, consideration of the awarding of a contract for work at the Living Memorial Park softball lights. They will consider first and third class liquor license renewals for 2 places, the Brattleboro Food Co-op and Midnight's LLC. And then finally on the consent agenda is consideration of a tree board grant for maintenance of park trees. Under regular business, there are 6 items. First, Healthcare and Rehabilitation Services CEO George Karabakakis will join the Select Board to give them an update on work that HCRS has been doing in Brattleboro. Next, Rec and Parks Director Carol Lalott will join the meeting to give the board an update on the Living Memorial Park project and to discuss a maintenance building contingency. The third item on March 6th will be a third reading of the vacant buildings ordinance, and Planning Director Sue Fillion will bring the board up to date on changes requested after the second reading of that ordinance and discuss possible approval of the vacant buildings ordinance. Following that, the board will take up the Bridge 54 discussion again for a possible decision on moving forward with that project with VTrans. Next, on the 6th, the board will discuss their meeting with Hinsdale Select Board regarding the Hinsdale Island and Anna Marsh and Charles Hunt bridges. That is in case anyone misses the meeting on Monday and want to be brought up to date on what was discussed there and what the issues are. And then finally, planned for the March 6th meeting is a discussion of a public art project proposed by the artist Hells Gibson. And a few announcements. Town Meeting Day is happening next week on March 4th. Voters who plan to vote absentee can request an absentee ballot anytime now through Monday, March 3rd, although the town clerk recommends doing so as soon as possible to allow for mail delivery time. Voters can request an absentee ballot through the state's My Voter page at mvp.vermont.gov or by contacting the town clerk's office. In-person early voting at the town clerk's office is now available today through Monday, March 3rd. At 5 p.m. You can also vote in person on Election Day, March 4th at the American Legion from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Please get out there and vote. If you're still working on filing your taxes, the assessor's office has published a guide to help you understand the Homestead Declaration and the Vermont Property Tax Credit. You can find this guide in the news section of the town's website, brattleboro.gov. Finally, a reminder that business licenses are due on March 15th and dog licenses are due on April 1st. So there's your update on what's been happening in town government in Brattleboro. Please reach out to me at the town manager's office if you have any suggestions or questions or want to discuss anything further. There's a lot of additional information on the website, brattleboro.gov, about what is discussed at the select board meetings, so please check in there for agendas, reports, and backup materials. Appreciate all the listeners, and check in again soon.